Would you like to find out when you should absolutely not, under any circumstances, use one of these little guys? And then would you also like to find out how to turn one of these little tea light holders into one of these rather pretty little decorative hangings? If so, come along, join me. Let's have a look how we do it. And welcome back to Sonia's Odyssey. If we've met before, then welcome back. If we haven't met, then it's so lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for coming along to see what I do on this channel. So at the moment, I am still trying to find my feet. I haven't really got into a rhythm yet. I'm not feeling comfortable behind the camera, but I'm really trying to persevere. So I'm trying to now, I'm thinking continuity is better than quality at this stage. Hopefully at some point it will all come together. So I'm trying a new thing. So in my channel, Sonia's Odyssey, which I very much wanted to be sort of craft based, and also a little bit of sort of well-being, mindfulness, well-being, stuff like that. I've decided to, each video or each session that I put out, I'm going to do a little section right at the beginning on something to help us for our well-being, some mindfulness little hack or tip or something like that, and then followed by just a little craft. And I'm going to call it Crafty Wellbeing because it just came to me the other day. I was driving along in the car and I was thinking, I haven't quite found my niche, I haven't quite found my feet yet. So I'm going to give this one a little go, see how it goes. Please do leave comments, please like, please subscribe. That would be brilliant because it really encourages me, tells me if I'm on the right path. And also, you know, comments to help me out, to you know, if you see things that I'm doing that you would do differently, to say, oh, you know, I've tried it this way or whatever. That would be so brilliant. I'm always open to any comments. So starting with our little well-being section. Okay, now I put a short out on this a couple of days ago, and I actually just want to talk to you about this little thing, this little harmless looking red and white straw. Okay, so good for the environment, it's paper, it's not plastic, great for drinking, all those sorts of things, and lots of things could be used for crafts, etc. But there's one time when I urge you and warn you to never ever use this little straw. So the backstory to this is a couple of months ago I had a couple of teeth out. And you may remember I was whinging in one of my other videos, and I was in a lot of pain and a lot of trouble with them. Now what happened was when I had that first tooth out, I came home, and it was a couple of hours later by the time I came home. It had been traumatic because I am terrified, absolutely terrified of dentists. So it was a very traumatic, the whole thing was traumatic. And when I got home, I was just looking for that little bit of comfort, you know, and I thought, you know what I need a nice warm cup of tea. Now, my mouth was still slightly numb, so I was thinking, okay, I've got to be careful, two things here. I don't want to burn my mouth inside, and also I don't want to be dribbling everywhere. So I thought to myself, I know, it's come back enough for me to make myself a warm cup of tea, not a hot cup of tea, warm cup of tea, and I will use a straw. That straw will help me keep the tea away from the wound, so I'm not getting that all infected, and will also stop me dribbling. So this was a fantastic idea, and please tell me if I'm wrong on this. I cannot believe I would be the only person that's ever actually thought that that was a good idea. So I had my cup of tea, it was amazing, but consequently a few hours later I was in a lot of trouble. I was in a lot of pain and I couldn't work out what was going on. I just put it down to the trauma of having a tooth yanked out, etc. But evidently what happens is when we have a tooth out, it immediately creates a blood clot in the hole, which will then heal over, and it protects it from all the bacteria and any infections sort of getting in there, hopefully, fingers crossed, all that sort of thing. But it needs time to sort of like harden over and secure itself in its place. Now, what I didn't know is if you use one of these before it is healed properly, what happens is it creates a vacuum and it sucks that blood clot out. and you are then left with something called a dry socket. And that is what I had, and I cannot tell you the pain. I cannot describe the pain. As I said in my short that I put out, I have had 3 children, and I would hands down say that the pain of that dry socket was so consistent and so incredibly bad that it was worse than childbirth. And it would take a lot for me to say that, because childbirth isn't great, but this seriously was far, far worse. And you know, I was stuck with that. It took 10 days to get past that pain. The pain it got to a point where it wouldn't react to painkillers. I was on my cold compress, off, 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off. It was just indescribable. It was horrible. It was traumatic. It will stay in my brain forever and ever and ever. And to think that it was all caused by this tiny, harmless looking little thing. So if you remember anything in your lives, if you ever come across this situation and you're tempted to use a straw, just think, no, in this situation, that is not going to help me. Maybe I'll wait till a little bit later to have my cup of tea when it isn't going to dribble all down my face. So I really do hope that I help some people by putting that out there. I'd also be interested to know if anyone else has ever done the same thing, or if anyone's done it and obviously hasn't had an adverse effect. But I felt so strongly about this. I felt so strongly that I needed to put it out there. So just a little warning. Fantastic for all sorts of things, but not when you've just had a tooth out. So hopefully you find that useful. Okay, and then, so that's my little wellbeing section for today. And then we're going to move on to the craft. Now, today it's just very, very simple craft again. I'm going to be showing you how to change one of these, which is just an empty tea light holder. I have got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them because somebody else showed me how to do this. And I was like, oh my goodness, I use so many of these in the winter. And I was realising, throwing so many away, what an absolute waste. And so what we're going to be doing today is just turning one of these into these little things, which are just really, really, really pretty. They can be used in all sorts of different ways for all sorts of different decorations and things to make things look pretty. Today I'm just going to show you, I probably will show you actually how to go through the whole thing. This is just a tiny, tiny little hanging thing that I made. I actually hang these by my window, and it's just made out of one of the little tea light holders, some little glass beads, and then some of that plastic wire that you can make little stretchy bracelets out of. Okay, so that's what we'll be looking at today. Also, just as a side thing, I did at Christmas, no money as usual, desperately trying to work out what to do for Christmas presents. So I made a load of Christmas presents again this year, or last year I should say. And one of the things I did with these was just get these battery candles. They are slightly covered in wax. And then I just pasted some of these onto the candles so that when they're turned on, and of course you can't really get the effect in the daylight, but at night time, they really are pretty because it shines through all the various little holes and that. So they're a really pretty little thing. I was really pleased with that, and they were well received by the people that I gave them to as Christmas gifts. So let's get on to how we actually did this. I've had to actually cut my head off for this bit because I'm not sure how to angle the camera to get it all properly. I was using one of those ones, I think in one of my previous videos, with the frame that comes up and points the camera down, but I'm not very good with it yet. So I thought today, let's just do it like this. So lucky for you viewers, you don't get to see my face for the minute. So we just start off with a bit of cardboard. Obviously we're going to be making holes and things to make the pretty decorations on these little things. So we're going to be using this little utensil that I got from the range. I think it was about £1.25, and it's just got a really, really sharp tip on it, and that's what we will use to make all the little holes and make whatever design we want to make on our little decoration. So starting with just our little empty tea light holder, you're going to need a little tiny pair of scissors, and you can use any craft scissors. I've just used This is actually a little pair of nail scissors. I couldn't find my craft scissors, so I went and nicked this out of my nail box, but this is absolutely fine. Just something that's got reasonably small and nice sharp blades. You're just going to take this first of all, and what we're going to do is just cut all the way around. I'm just actually going to put my glasses on, particularly as you can't see me anyway. Then I can see better, that's it. We are going to cut all the way around the edge, just below the rim, just to make it so that in a minute you'll see why. It's just so that we can flatten it out. I hope you can still see this on here. It's a bit difficult for me to know what you can see and what you can't. This is what I need to get better at. Just chop it all the way around until you've literally gone all the way around, okay? And then what you're going to then do is where you've chopped all the way around, you're just going to kind of flatten it out. Pull all these little bits out so that you're beginning to make your little disc like that, okay? Now I've seen this done in a couple of different ways. I've seen some people kind of then get something like even the end of this, you know, that's kind of rounded, and then go all the way along it and make it all really sort of flat. I prefer actually just to tease it with my fingers and then kind of leave it as it is. Okay, now obviously everybody's going to want to just do their own shapes, their own ideas. Personally, you could leave it like this, as shapes like that. You could leave it like that and literally not do anything with it. I think it's still actually quite pretty, but I like putting designs on mine. And with mine, I personally prefer the edges to be a little bit shaped. So again, I just take the scissors and I just literally go round and cut off the corners of each of the bits that we've cut. Okay, so it's just changed it from the square into that. You can make them rounded. You can do whatever shape you want, because this is entirely your decoration that you're going to make. It's a lot of fun. Going back to the mindfulness side of things, I think I have said many times before, I find crafting so incredibly calming. I get so much pleasure out of seeing things come together. And so many crafts, you can see how it comes together really quickly, and that's what I like. I like nice quick results. So we just carry on all the way around until we are left with just that. Just all these are all slightly misshapen, but again, it doesn't matter. Totally up to you how you want them. Rounded, pointed, squared, rippled, whatever. That's absolutely fine. Now, what I would say is just be careful of these little shards that we've cut off. They are quite sharp and they do get into things. I've noticed and this is a health and safety warning, I actually dropped a couple of these on the carpet a while back and didn't realise, and it was obviously before I'd hoovered, and they worked their way into the weave, and then I stood on one and gosh, did I know about it. They're actually quite painful. So normally I keep a little pot next to me and just cut it into the pot. Today I have forgotten to bring it with me, so all I'm going to do is just pick that up and just put it in a little pot at the side. Okay, so you've got your little shape. You're then going to move on to making some designs, and you can make anything you want. Today I'm just going to start by, I'm going to run this sharp little point. I'm going to run it all the way around the centre that's already there, the marking that was already there on the original casing, if you like. I'm actually going to turn it over to do this. So we're doing it so it's indented. It's on this would be the inside, basically, of the shell. Up to you, whichever way you do it. I'm just going to run this all the way around. Not so hard that it cuts all the way through, unless you're going to have a hole in the middle, which of course you can if you want to. For this one, I'm not. And there you see, just by doing that, it's just made it a little bit more prominent. That's all, okay? And then I'm going to decide, well, what am I going to do? I think I might have these little bits that stick out, which again were on the original casing. I think I might just draw, just literally like drawing with a pencil, all the way around, just so that they are now little circles all the way around. Move it round. Again, not all the way through unless you want it to actually come out so that these are circles, actual holes. I've got one here which I did do that with. I cut the holes all the way out, if you see here. So that's, yeah, went right the way through. That was just a design, but today I'm going to leave them in here. Okay, so then we've ended up with this, which I don't know how much it takes on the camera, but you can sort of see it's now, these bits are now sticking out much more, and you can see a design beginning to form. I'm going to decide today to make these little circles around the edge. I'm just going to dot them. I'm literally just going to go round with the tip and just literally press all the way through, just making them into little dots. Now this cardboard that I've used today is really, really soft. So actually the pins are going pretty much all the way through, but that's fine. Particularly if you're going to put them on candles or something like that. Doesn't really matter. Or again, even if you're hanging them by the window, doesn't matter. Just dot, 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 all the way around. Obviously I'm doing this one quickly so that not everybody gets bored, or people don't get bored. Hopefully you're still all here. Right, okay, so I've gone round, and again, you can see now we're really beginning to get quite a nice little design. Doing it on the other side, and it's just beginning to bring us up a nice little design. And then I'm thinking, right, okay, what could I do with the centre? So I'm just going to make another little round circle in that centre. I can never get them completely round. Other people might have a more steady hand. Once I've made that little circle, I'm then going to dot again, just like I did with the ones on the outside. Just dead simple, just like that. So now we've got one in the middle. And then I'm going to, just because I feel like it, I am going to draw lines from the centre one up to each of the ones that we've done around the edge. So just up to this actual circle, the rim at the side. I'm then going to have a look at it when I've done that and decide whether I want to put more in or if I just want to leave it like that. I think that looks really pretty. I am always a more is more person, so I'm going to put just another 4 lines in, just in between the ones I've already done. You can see I'm pressing a little bit hard on this because my cardboard's quite soft, it's going straight through, so you might want to use something a little bit harder than the type of cardboard that I've used. There you go. So now we've just got more lines. Okay, and then it's up to you whether you want to do anything in these little bits, sort of going round. As I'm showing you lots of different things, I'm thinking swirls are coming to me. So I am going to just do, literally, it's just like drawing with a pencil. I'm just going to do some little swirly shapes all the way around. It's sticking a little bit because of the cardboard. Let's just do round like that. Okay, so then you've got your little swirly bits in. So each little bit, doesn't matter how small it is, it really does make quite a big difference. And then on the bits around the edge, for the minute, I'm going to leave the centre. I might come back and do a little bit more on there, I don't know. I'm now going to sort of pretty these up. So I'm going to put little lines, again, just in the centre of each one, not right up to the top, just literally going around. You can see how quickly these come together, which is why it's a really nice craft, because you really feel like you're achieving something, and you're also making something so pretty. And all the time I'm doing them, I'm always thinking about different ideas that I could use them for. Generally, what presents could I use them for? Because they, you know, they're just going to get chucked in the bin. Why not use them to make somebody something really, really pretty that's handmade that they can use and will use? They will hang them up by their windows. You can put them on candles. Christmas decorations. Oh, can't wait for Christmas. I'll do a Christmas segment. So yeah, so there's there. Like I say, I'm a bit more is more. So I think what I would then do for this particular design, just because I feel like it, is I'm then going to pin prick around each of those lines. So just basically pin prick all the way around in each one. You can hear when my little prong is going all the way through, it's making a little thudding noise. So I would just do that. I'll turn it over, check that's what I want. Yeah, and I like that. That's just exactly the sort of effect I'm looking for. So I'm going to do that all the way around until we end up with the finished article. So you could leave it like that. I mean, that's really pretty, I think. You could also put some more little dots in. You could put some more squiggles in. You could do whatever you like. So the world is your oyster. I have such fun going as I'm doing them, just sort of making it up as I go along. And then I find a design I really, really like. And then I do that one about 10 times. And then I think, oh no, okay, I better do another one. So yeah, it's just fun. It's just really fun to do. Okay, so obviously the next thing we're going to do, if we're going to make it into this little decoration that we were talking about, we need to make a little hole that we're going to pass some of our plastic cord through in any one of them. So again, still using our trusty prodder, we're going to just pop it through. I don't really need to show you this, but I might as well as that's it. Just make a nice little hole, push it through so it's just big enough for your cord to get through. You're going to want to find the cord that you're going to use to thread your little glass beads. So these little glass beads, I don't know how clearly you can see them. I'll just tip a couple into my hand. They're just tiny little glass balls. When you get them, I just bought them online, you need to make sure that you remember to get the ones with a hole that runs through the middle, because we're going to be threading obviously a little piece of cord, in this case a little piece of plastic cord, through so that we can make them into little hanging decorations. Okay, so you want to also make sure that the hole is going to be big enough for the type of cord that you're going to be threading through. Okay, so I've just got this really thin stretchy cord. I think I don't even know where I got it. I think I might have got it on Temu or something ghastly like that. But you just basically want to decide how long you want your hanging to be, and then just obviously double that because it's going to want to be hanging. So we need double the length. So just cash it through there. That's it, chop it off. Once you've done that, you're just going to then thread that through the hole. If I can find the original hole. Thread it through. Gosh, even with my glasses on, I can't see this. I think I need one of those magnifying glasses. Okay, I've possibly done this a little bit long, but you can always trim it off afterwards. Just get them so they're vaguely even at the top. There we go, that's that. And then we come to threading our little beads on. And this is why I say you've got to be careful about the size of the hole in your little glass balls, because when it comes to threading them through, it's not going through as a single strand, it's going through as a double strand. So that's where I got caught out the first time. The cord I was using was the holes I had were just way too small. So then you've just got to get, your eyes need to be reasonably good for this, or you need one of those crafting magnifying glasses, which I really need because mine's not so good. Mind you, I got it first time there. Okay, so there we go. You just thread it on, push it down to the bottom, and then you just keep doing that until you've got the number that you want. As few or as many as you actually want. As soon as you've got as many as you want, I mean, that would look lovely done all the way up, wouldn't it? But you could mix and match, all that sort of thing. As soon as you've got as many as you want, you're just going to tie at the top, just tie that round and make it secure. So it's like this one. Now, with this one, I remembered now, I didn't actually quite finish it off when I originally did it. What would be nice is if you then put a glass ball at the top, I think, or made this a little bit shorter and then had a glass ball just to finish it off. But everything is down to you. It's all personal taste. But I think you would admit these are quite pretty. And I think when you've got them en masse, particularly if they're near anywhere that would catch some light and that, they do look absolutely gorgeous. I'm really pleased with those. So there you have it, my little crafts. I absolutely love them. They look fantastic at Christmas. I can't wait to do a whole video on bits and pieces you can do with Christmas, for Christmas with them. Something I'm going to try at some point is, they are lovely, but they're very delicate, and I'm inclined to think if you use them as Christmas decorations, when they're getting put away, they might sort of get bent. So I'm just going to look into ways of hardening them, making them a little bit harder. So that will be another whole video on its own. But listen, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hearing me out. Remember the little tip about the straw, because it's really important. And please have lots of fun creating your own beautiful little decorations. You could even make little earrings, couldn't you? But no, seriously, they're gorgeous. Okay, thanks for stopping by, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye now.